The film begins with a 15-year-old girl named Cara. On this day she is staying over at her friend Jess's house because Jess's parents are traveling, leaving her home alone. Jess wakes up from her sleep, while Cara had already been awake, waiting for her to get up. The two of them are planning to spend the day at a famous lake in the city, so they quickly get ready. After that, Cara calls her mother, Deborah, who is at work, and tells her that they're going to the lake and that she won't be back home until around 10 p.m. Deborah asks if Cara's boyfriend, Ryan, will be joining them, but Cara replies that he has practice and won't be able to come. It's also revealed that Cara's parents are separated. She currently lives with her mother but occasionally visits her father and stays with him for a while. Deborah tells her daughter not to worry if she comes home at night and doesn't find her there, as she'll be out meeting her new boyfriend. After ending the call with her mother, Jess says she's going to take a shower and then get dressed so they can leave right away. She asks Cara to water the plants in the garden while she finishes showering. We then see that the neighborhood where Jess lives is very quiet, with hardly anyone out in the streets. While Cara is outside watering the plants, she notices a black car slowly circling the house, as if it's watching her. Suddenly, a man steps out of the car and approaches Cara. He asks her if her parents are home, but Cara tells him that this isn't her house, it belongs to her friend, and that her friend's parents aren't there. The man then asks her to hold the book he's carrying for just a moment. He does this on purpose to get her to come closer. As soon as Cara approaches him, she's shocked to see that he's pointing a gun at her. He orders her to get into the car, threatening to kill her immediately without hesitation if she refuses. Even though she's terrified, Cara agrees to get in because she has no other choice. Inside the car, the man has a box, and he orders her to climb into it. He then shuts it so no one can see her while they're on the road. After a while, the man arrives at a deserted area. He gets out of the car, opens the box, and tells Cara that he's going to tie her up, warning her not to move or make any noise until he returns. He then leaves her and goes to get some tools from the trunk. At that moment, Cara thinks about trying to escape, but she imagines what would happen if she did and realizes that he would kill her without hesitation. So, Cara decides to stay still and not move. The man returns, ties her up, and covers her mouth so she can't make any sound. Then they leave again. Meanwhile, Jess has come out of the shower and starts looking for Cara all around the house. At first, she assumes she's somewhere nearby, but when she can't find her, she begins to get seriously worried. She decides to call Deborah, Cara's mother, and asks if Cara has contacted her or mentioned anything. Deborah is surprised and says she hasn't heard anything from Cara since their call earlier that morning. As soon as she realizes her daughter is missing, she becomes terrified. She quickly calls Ryan, Cara's boyfriend, and asks him if he knows anything. He tells her that the last thing he knows is that Cara was at Jess's house. After ending the call, Deborah rushes to Jess's house. From there, she calls Ron, Cara's father, who also says he has no idea where she is. We learn that he lives about 5 hours away, but he reassures Deborah that he'll come as quickly as possible. Deborah then contacts the police and explains everything that happened. However, the investigator doesn't seem too concerned and believes the situation is simple. He says that teenagers often act impulsively and do many things without thinking or asking their parents for permission. Because of that, the investigator assumes that she may have gone to a friend's house or perhaps got upset and decided to run away. He says they will start by questioning the neighbors in case anyone saw something. Deborah strongly disagrees with him, insisting that her daughter is responsible. Even if she did go out without saying anything, she's still young, and the situation should be taken more seriously in case something bad has happened to her. But the investigator tells her to go wait at Jess's house and try to contact Cara, then he leaves. Meanwhile, Cara arrives at the man's house. He unties her and takes her to a bedroom. There, he begins explaining his rules. The most important ones are that she must call him dad, ask for permission before doing anything, no matter how simple, and never disobey or even think about objecting to anything he says. He threatens that he will always keep his gun with him, ready to use it if she tries to escape or do anything against his orders. It's clear that Cara is completely terrified, so much so that she can't even respond to him at first. He then forces her to answer his questions and starts asking about every detail of her life, her name, her parents, her friends, her boyfriend, and so on. It becomes clear that he didn't know anything about her before he chose her randomly. After that, he orders her to lie down on the bed and ties her up again. A little later, he goes out to sit on the couch, then calls her to come sit next to him. He starts talking to her and asks about school and more details about her life. At this point, Cara decides to try and learn as much as she can about him, hoping it might help her escape. She pretends to be more comfortable around him and starts asking him questions about his life. She learns where he used to live and the name of the school he attended. He tells her that he never went to college because it was too expensive for him, but instead, he joined the military and spent 9 years there. Cara then notices that he has many pets, like fish and parrots. He allows her to go take a look at them and mentions that his favorite is the gray parrot. After that, the man notices that she's still afraid, so he tells her not to worry, claiming that once he gets bored of her, he'll let her go. However, he threatens her, saying that if she ever reports him, she will be the one who suffers, and that people will always remember her as the girl who was assaulted. He then forces her to watch explicit movies with him, and she has no choice but to comply. A little later, Cara becomes even more terrified. She asks to go to the bathroom, hoping she might find a window there to escape. But the man surprises her by ordering her to leave the door open so he can keep watching her. Later, he brings her food, but Cara says she's not hungry. He tells her that refusing to eat means she's breaking his rules, and because of that, she has to do something in return so he can forgive her. He then decides to make her clean the kitchen while he eats. Cara tries to look around carefully, searching for anything that might help her learn more about him. She notices notes and names of doctors pinned to the refrigerator, along with their addresses. She also discovers that there is a woman living with him, but she is currently away on a trip to Disney World. Later, the man takes her with him to listen to the news. He laughs when he sees that no one is talking about her disappearance, as if her family doesn't even care about her. But Cara realizes that he's just trying to manipulate her with his words, so she doesn't respond. At some point, the man needs to make a phone call, so he forces Cara back into the box to make sure she doesn't make any noise or try to call for help. When he finishes the call and returns to her, he finds her terrified and crying. He then reveals that he has suffered from anxiety for a long time, and he gives her some of his medication to calm her down. When it's time to sleep, he decides to tie her to the bed so she won't try to move or do anything while he's asleep. He then lies down beside her on the same bed. Exhausted, Cara quickly falls asleep. Meanwhile, Deborah starts calling everyone she knows, asking if anyone has heard from Cara or knows where she might be. When she gets no answers, she decides to go to the police station and speak directly with the chief, whose name is Dale. There, she complains that the investigator handling her daughter's case isn't taking it seriously. Deborah explains that she has spoken to all the neighbors and learned that one of them saw a black car approaching the house. She insists that none of her daughter's friends own a black car. Dale laughs and says she probably doesn't know all of her daughter's friends, adding that every teenager has secrets they hide from their family. Despite that, Deborah is certain that her daughter is in danger because she has never been gone this long without contacting them. At that point, the investigator finally starts to take the situation more seriously. The next morning, Cara wakes up early and notices that the man is still asleep. She realizes this might be her only chance to escape. She begins trying to free herself and surprisingly, she succeeds in a short time. She manages to untie the ropes binding her hands and feet to the bed. She then quietly moves toward the apartment door, opens it carefully, and runs outside. By chance, she sees a passing car with two men inside. She tells them that she has been kidnapped and begs them to take her to the nearest police station. They agree and let her get in. On the way, Cara notices that all the houses in that area look similar, so she points out the man's house and asks them to remember it in case the police need the location later. Cara arrives at the station, where she meets a detective named Roland. She tells him everything that happened. Roland tries to calm her down and takes her to his office to get all the details. Meanwhile, his assistant goes to check Cara's name in the system to see if there has been a missing person report filed for her. He also speaks to the two men who brought her in and takes their statements. Another detective named Bonia joins Roland to help with the case. She speaks with the two men who brought Cara in and manages to get the address of the area where they found her, but they can't remember the exact house number of the kidnapper. Meanwhile, Cara is sitting with Roland, telling him everything that happened. Bonia walks in and tells him that she contacted nearby police stations and confirmed that Deborah, Cara's mother, reported her missing about 18 hours ago. Roland then calls Deborah to reassure her, and hands the phone to Cara so she can speak to her herself. Deborah breaks down the moment she hears her daughter's voice and immediately says she's coming to pick her up. Bonia explains that since the two men don't remember the exact house number, they should take Cara back to the area, maybe she'll be able to recognize the house. Cara agrees, and they all head there together. Once they arrive, Cara tries to remember any distinctive features of the house from the outside, but she can't. They then spot a worker in the area, so they approach him, describe the man, and ask if he knows anyone living nearby who matches that description. Unfortunately, the description is too generic, and many people could fit it, so the worker isn't able to help. At that point, Cara steps in and adds more details. She says that the man had all his windows covered, had a painting of a bear hanging above the bed, and owned many different kinds of animals in large numbers. Based on what Cara says, the worker is able to guess who she's talking about and tells them the house number. Bonia immediately requests backup units so they can raid the house, while Roland takes Cara back to the station, as it will be safer for her there. Shortly after, Deborah arrives at the station and rushes to her daughter, completely overwhelmed and in tears. Meanwhile, Jim, the chief of police, arrives at the house with a large team. They storm the place, but find it empty. However, everything inside matches the description Cara gave, confirming that it is indeed the kidnapper's house. They begin searching the surrounding area and decide to question Cara further to gather more details. Back at the station, Cara is with her mother when Bonia comes in to speak with her again. She shows Cara photos of all the residents in that neighborhood, and without hesitation, Cara identifies the man who kidnapped her. His name is Richard. They discover that he has already disappeared from the area. Bonia continues questioning Cara and is surprised by how much detailed information she knows about him. Cara provides very specific details, including the addresses and phone numbers of his doctors. She also mentions that she saw him opening a box near the animals area, and that he became tense when he noticed her looking at it, quickly hiding it. Bonia thanks her for all the information and tells her that 2 nurses will come in shortly to examine her for the medical report. Deborah overhears all of this and is completely devastated, especially because no one is willing to tell her exactly what the man did to her daughter. She breaks down even more when she learns that he has escaped, feeling that her daughter is still in danger. At this point, the police begin searching the box that Cara had mentioned. Inside, they find underwear belonging to other girls, not Cara. They also discover articles and reports about missing girls. This leads them to suspect that Richard might be a serial killer who keeps records and news about his victims. However, at this stage, these are still just suspicions. They haven't confirmed anything yet. Jim orders the officers with him to contact the police departments that handled the cases of those missing girls and gather all possible information about them. He also has Richard's photo distributed everywhere, asking the public to report any sightings. The next day, Jim arranges a meeting with Dale, the chief of the police station where Cara's disappearance was originally reported, so they can cooperate and combine their efforts to collect as much information as possible. By this time, Jim has managed to gather information about the missing girls whose cases were linked to the articles found in Richard's house. There are 3 of them, and they are still officially missing. Their bodies have never been found. The police also uncover a disturbing pattern. Richard would kidnap his victims and assault them until he grew bored. After that, he would drown them in the bathtub and dispose of their bodies in swamps. While the police had previously found some of these bodies, they were never able to identify who was responsible. At this point, they conclude that they are indeed dealing with a serial killer, and they begin taking the case much more seriously. While they are discussing the case, Bonia walks in and says she has investigated Richard further. She managed to locate his wife, Ashley, and also track down his sister, Stephanie, who is expected to come in the next day to give her statement. Around the same time, Cara finishes her medical examination and is ready to leave. Her father Ron arrives, along with her friends Jess and Ryan, to welcome her. It's clear that they were all extremely worried about her, and they're relieved to see that she's holding herself together despite everything she's been through. On the way home, Deborah tries to ask Cara about what happened, but Cara refuses to talk about it and asks her to stop asking. A few hours later, Jess comes to sit with Cara in her room so she won't be alone. At first, she hesitates to ask for details, sensing that Cara doesn't want to talk. But eventually, Cara decides to tell her everything because Jess is her closest friend. They both become very emotional, and Jess is deeply shocked and sympathetic after hearing the full story. The next day, the police question Richard's wife, Ashley. She is completely shocked by what she hears and insists that Richard is a kind person who could never do something like this. After that, they question his sister, Stephanie. She admits that she had some doubts about his behavior, but she never imagined he could go this far or be a serial killer. She also tells them that Richard called her the day before and that he is currently staying at a nearby hotel. The police immediately send a team to arrest him, but when they arrive, they find that he has already escaped and left the place. Right after that, the police discover that Richard has used his phone, which allows them to track his location. They notice that he was near his other sister's house. They contact her, and she confirms that he did call her and asked to meet in 2 hours at a specific location. She gives them the address, and the police rush there immediately. At the same time, Cara decides to leave the house for the first time since everything happened. She finds out that Ryan has a game, so she asks Jess to go with her to watch it. It's clear that the police have assigned officers to stay close to her wherever she goes, since as long as Richard is still free, she remains in danger. Her mother tries to stop her from going out, especially with the criminal still on the loose, but Cara refuses to listen and goes anyway. At the game, she tries to ignore the looks people give her and just enjoy the match. Meanwhile, the police manage to locate Richard and begin chasing him. When he realizes that he's surrounded, he pulls out a gun and takes his own life. The next day, Deborah feels relieved, knowing that the man who hurt her daughter is dead and no longer a threat. But when Cara finds out, she breaks down, upset that everyone knew since the day before and no one told her. She feels like they're treating her like a child. She gets angry, leaves her mother, and goes to sit alone outside the house. Jess comes to sit with her, and Cara says that she had hoped to face Richard in court and see him punished for what he did. Jim shows sympathy toward Cara, and at the same time, he's very proud of her. He apologizes for not telling her earlier about Richard's death and tells her that she's the bravest girl he has ever seen. He adds that because of her, the world has been freed from Richard's evil and that she may have saved many other girls who could have become his victims someday. Cara then asks that her parents never be told what Richard did to her. It's clear that she's afraid of how it would affect them. Jim respects her decision and promises not to say anything. Later, Cara apologizes to her mother for getting upset with her. She asks her not to bring up what happened again and to try to move on, since they can't change the past anyway. Deborah also apologizes for putting pressure on her and promises to give her space. She encourages Cara to focus on the positive, that she's still alive, safe, and with her family after everything she went through. In the end, we learn that this is a true story. A few years later, Cara decides to become a detective, specializing in sexual assault cases, all with the encouragement of Jim, who continued to stand by her side and support her the entire time. And that's the end of our movie, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this recap. Stay tuned, because I'll be bringing you more amazing summaries in the coming. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any new uploads. See you in the next video.